In our previous video, we talked about how large language models often gives us free-flowing text responses and then how we can use tools like structured output parser to make those responses more organized and consistent. But now we're taking a same idea into a step further by introducing a much more powerful and professional tool called the Pydantic output parser. So what exactly does it do? Now think of it in this way. So when we ask a large language model for structured information like someone's name, age, or city, the model tries its best to follow our instruction. But sometimes it gives extra text, sometimes it forgets a field, or sometimes it just formats things incorrectly. The Pydantic output parser helps us control and validate those responses. So it makes sure the model's output isn't just structured, but also it's correct, complete, and reliable. This parser is built on top of a Python library called Pydantic, and Pydantic is all about data validation. It actually lets us define what kind of data we expect. For example, like we can say the name should be text, age should be number, and then it has to be greater than 18, and the city should be a word. So when the model gives us a response, the parser checks if everything fit those rules or not. If something is missing or invalid, the parser immediately flags it or even corrects it when combined with a tools like output fixing parser. Now, if you remember the structured output parser we used earlier in the previous video, it also gave us structured data. So what is the difference between these two here? So the key difference is that the structured output parser mainly focuses on formatting. It helps the model respond in a defined structure. But the Pydantic output parser adds this layer of intelligence and validation on top of that. So it actually does not just organize the response, but it also checks the response and ensures that it matches the exact data type and the constraints we define. So that means we'll get fewer errors, cleaner data, and a far more predictable output, which is especially important when you're building real world application. So the beauty of this parser is that the once the model output passes through it, you can get a clean and reliable data ready to use in your code or application directly. Like you don't need to worry about converting things to string, fixing JSON, or like checking for missing fields. Everything comes out neat and validated exactly the way you want it. So the Pydantic output parser takes the concept of this structured output and then upgrades it with validation and reliability. If the structured output was our first step towards getting a structured response from LLM, then the Pydantic version is the professional grade tool, the one that makes your AI pipeline more stable and then production ready. So that is why this concept is so much important to understand, because as we start building more complex systems, we will rely on such kind of validated structured output to make sure our AI uh, gives us the output in the format that we expect. So after this brief introduction, let's go to the code and see what we have talked about and implement it in real life. Okay, so I'm going to create a new file here. I'm going to call this Pydantic parser.py. So I will have some import. First of all, our model, then .env, then I'll have my prompt template. Then I will have a Pydantic output parser. You can also use this output fixing parser if you want, but I'm not going to do this right now. I've already shown you how to use it in the previous video. So from Pydantic, I'm going to import base model, and then I'm going to import a field. Okay, so load the credentials, define the model, And after that, I'm going to create this Pydantic validation class called person. So here I'll have base model, and as a parameter, I'm going to include three things: name, age, and string. So name is going to be a string, its field, and its detail is the person's full name. Then I'm going to have an age. Age is going to be an integer, and I'll also define its detail. So the age has to be greater than 18, and then it has to be less than let's say 100. Then I'll also add the detail or the description. The person's age must be greater than 18. Well, I've already defined that here. Now I'm going to define a city. It is going to be string, again, field and its detail. So the city where the person lives. Okay, now I have defined this class. I'm going to create an object of PydanticParser, PydanticOutputParser, and then the Pydantic object is the class that we have defined. Okay, now let's create a template from the prompt template that we have. So the template is going to be, I'm going to create a multiple string or multi-line string here. So the prompt template is giving me, give me the name, age, and city of a fictional place person. Okay, what else? Make sure the age is greater than 18 and less than 100. Also return the response in following format, and the format is our response format, just like we did earlier. Okay, what else? I need an input variable. Input variable is going to be a place name, and then my partial variables is going to come from this is response format, and then it is going to come from parser or the parser object dot get format instructions. Okay, now what I can do is I can directly define a chain. So it will first call up template, then model, and then the parser. Then after that, I can invoke this chain using the entry point to this chain, which is a place name. So let's say Nepal, and then print a result here. So the code seems to be okay. If you have any problem viewing this, let me do a word wrap so that you can see everything else here. Now let me run this code and see what we get in our response. We should get the name, age, and city just like we asked for. Okay, so if we see here, we see a name, Prakash Tahal, age is 45, and city is provided here, just like in the format that we asked for. So this is how we use Pydantic output parser using LangGraph. So this is all for this video. I hope it runs in your end as well. If you have any problem, do comment down below and I'll try to help you out. And I'll see you in the next video.